This must be that Woodstock place Mom and Dad are always talking about.
And they said imitation diamond wasn't good enough. Uh-oh.
Oh, great. I'm stuck in colonial times, tentacles are taking over the world, and now the toilet's backing up. Well, later, dude.
What? What's going to happen later?
Wow, you can talk.
Wow, so can you. What a coincidence.
Flush small inanimate objects to each other through time.
Hello? Dr. Fred, can you hear me? Drat.
Hey there viewers, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Matt, and booting up on the screen is my 486 DX-33. The 486 DX-33 was a relatively popular CPU back in the early to mid 90s, but sort of by the mid to late 90s it was very obsolete because the Pentium basically overtook the 486 by leaps and bounds. And this particular machine I pieced together from a heap of free parts in about the year 2000. Now today we are actually going to be playing a LucasArts adventure game. So on the machine I have installed Day of the Tentacle. Now Day of the Tentacle was the sequel to Maniac Mansion, and the word sequel is pretty loose here. It kind of follows on a little bit from Maniac Mansion, but it has a different storyline kind of altogether. So let's get started and load it up. Now you'll notice here I am not running Scum VM or anything like this. This is running the original Scum engine from the 90s. So let's go.
I'm thirsty.
I don't think you should drink that. It looks bad for you.
Nonsense. It makes me feel great. Smarter, more aggressive. I feel like I could. Like I could. Like I could. Take on the world.
Look, Hoagie, it's a hamster. Just what I need for dissection lab tomorrow.
I think I need that for the band, Laverne. You know, like we could bite its head off or whatever.
Hands off that hamster.
Friend of yours, Bernard?
He belongs to Weird Ed Edison, and it looks like he's brought us a note. It's from my old friend, Green Tentacle. He says that Purple Tentacle's mutated into an insane genius, and Dr. Fred's going to kill them both. I thought I was free of Dr. Fred and those crazy Edisons forever. But now I know that I must go back to the mansion.
Okay, so Day of the Tentacle. Now, Day of the Tentacle was produced by the LucasArts company. Now, all of the games I've played through so far on this channel have been Sierra-based games. In the 90s, there were two really arguably big players in the adventure genre. One was Sierra and the other was LucasArts. Now, Sierra definitely had more of a market share, especially in the early 90s, because LucasArts got going a little bit slower. Whereas Sierra were making things in the early 80s, I think the first game that LucasArts really did that was in the adventure genre was Maniac Mansion back in 1988. Now, LucasArts and Sierra games have a slightly different look and feel. Sierra had not an emphasis, but quite a focus on humorous ways of death and sort of doing the wrong thing and getting stuck. Whereas LucasArts games are arguably much easier. In most of them, there is no way to die or no way to actually get completely stuck and have to restore back to some really early state. Now, Day of the Tentacle is no exception. I don't believe there's any way to actually brick the game. If you do something wrong, what'll generally happen is it'll say, hey, you need to rethink your strategy here, or let's try that again, and you have to go back and give it a second shot. Now, some people like this because it was less frustrating than Sierra games, in terms of, you couldn't really have a dead end. But other people didn't like it so much because it was almost too easy, and it was more just like playing an interactive movie type thing. But that said, LucasArts games still are tricky in terms of you have to solve a lot of puzzles. But we're going to see that as we play through this game, starting now. So here we can see everyone going back to the mansion, which was featured in Maniac Mansion.
Okay, we'll spread out commando style. Laverne, you go secure the area behind those double doors. Hoagie, you take care of upstairs reconnaissance. I'll maintain Command HQ here, in the lobby.
What are we looking for?
We've got to find where Dr. Fred is holding the tentacles.
This better not take too long. I've got an anatomy final tomorrow.
And I've got a show to set up later tonight. If I'm late, I don't get to test the drums.
If I know Dr. Fred, he's got the tentacles tied up in his secret lab. Question is, where's his secret lab?
Okay, so it's given us a hint how to start already, saying, well, the tentacles are probably in the secret lab. Where's the lab going to be? Now, in terms of the interface here, this one is a point and click. You can see down here we have a whole heap of options. So we can give, pick up, use, open, look at, push, close, talk to, and pull. And over on this side we have our inventory. So unlike a Sierra game, sort of 2/3 of our window are our viewport, and the other third is our options and our inventory down here. So we can do things like use the service bell. So again, down here it sort of tells you when you're over something that is operable. And that didn't do a lot. Likewise, we can look at this flyer here.
That one looks like it's from a local hardware store.
And we can also pick it up. And then if we look at it again,
It's from George's hardware. George says that every American should have a vacuum cleaner in their basement.
there you go. George thinks we should have a vacuum cleaner in our basement. Now, at the moment, because this is still sort of the start of the game, if we try and go anywhere,
Laverne's covering that territory.
it's basically going to say Laverne or Hoagie are in that territory. So there's only really one thing we can do here is if we look at the grandfather clock.
There's something funny about that clock.
So this is the classic secret passage.
Aha! A secret passage. This is all too easy.
Laverne, how'd you get upstairs?
Am I upstairs? I got lost.
Seen any tentacles?
What's a tentacle?
Oh, just something I whipped up in my spare time. Made good pets, actually. Until one of them tried to take over the world. Had to tie the little buggers up in the basement.
Good thing you told us that.
Yeah, Bernard wanted us to set them free.
Thank God you weren't that stupid. Did you say Bernard?
So yeah, Bernard
Okay,
is...
you're free to go.
Thanks, Bernard.
Yes, thank you, naive human. Now I can finish taking over the world.
Wait!
Oh, yeah. Now I remember. He's incredibly evil, isn't he?
I'll try to talk him out of it.
Yeah, oops. That's kind of how this game
what
starts.
possible harm could one insane mutant tentacle do?
Leaping lab rats!
Dr. Fred.
What have you done this time, you meddling milquetoast? Now Purple Tentacle is free to use his evil mutant powers to take over the world and enslave all humanity.
Whoops.
Our only hope now is to turn off my sludge-o-matic machine and prevent the toxic mutagen from entering the river.
Isn't it a little late for that, Doctor?
Of course, that's why I'll have to do it. Yesterday, through the time machine.
This is all your fault, Bernard.
Behold, children, the chronogon.
Doc, can't you just send Bernard?
No, you must all go to increase the odds that one of you will make it there alive.
Have any people ever been hurt in this thing?
Of course not. This is the first time I've ever tried it on people. Well, I'll be.
Bernard, float over here so I can punch you.
This must be that Woodstock place Mom and Dad are always talking about.
What could it all mean?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Die. Die.
We may not live to see yesterday.
I'm sure Dr. Fred wouldn't have done this if it weren't safe.
After all, he is a doctor.
It works! I can't believe it! And they said imitation diamond wasn't good enough. Uh-oh. Cheap mail order jewels.
What happened to Hoagie and Laverne?
I knew I should have bought a real diamond.
Are they alive?
My dials say that the larger specimen landed 200 years in the past, and the other is stuck 200 years in the future.
Well, hurry up and bring them back.
I will, as soon as I get a new diamond. Then all your buddies have to do is plug in their respective chronogons and...
Plug them in? Where is Hoagie going to find an electrical outlet 200 years in the past?
Yes, well, he'll be needing my patented super battery then, won't he? Now, where did I put those patented super battery plans of mine?
Plans? How are we going to get Hoagie plans?
Don't worry me with details, boy. Just help me find the plans. They're in this house somewhere.
Now what am I going to do?
I think I made myself perfectly clear. Step 1, find plans. Step 2, save world. Step 3, get out of my house. Let's get cracking.
Okay, so here we are. We've been given a bit of an idea of what we need to do to get the game started, and that is to help Dr. Fred find the plans for his super battery so we can help get Hoagie back, as well as Laverne, and also stop Purple Tentacle. So we've got a lot going on here.
Maybe I put them upstairs. That's got to be it. Upstairs.
Now, since Dr. Fred's looking upstairs, there's not a lot for us to do down here except basically notice there's a piece of paper on the to-do sheet thing here, and we can look at the piece of paper.
It's Dr. Fred's design for a super battery. It's capable of storing up to 1 gigavolt with a charging time of only 0.01 seconds. Wow!
So there we go. So unlike a Sierra game, this starts out very
I've got
easy.
the plans.
Quick, we have to flush them to Hoagie.
How did you get over there?
My ingenious super battery design, please.
You really flushed them.
Yes,
Down the toilet.
no, through time. Using the highly sophisticated time flux hydraulic vortex chamber I've installed in each chronogon, you can flush small inanimate objects to each other through time. Flush small inanimate objects to each other through time.
Hello? Dr. Fred, can you hear me? Drat.
Did you hear something?
No, let's see if what's his name catches on.
Oh, great. I'm stuck in colonial times, tentacles are taking over the world, and now the toilet's backing up.
Okay, come over here. It's your old pal, Dr. Fred.
Dr. Fred, how'd you get in there?
I want you to pick up those plans you see in the chronogon, Hoagie. Bring them to Red Edison. He's my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He'll know what to do.
You need the plans to make a super battery so you can plug in your chronogon.
Okay, if you say so, Bernard.
Good boy. Does he have any experience with electronics?
Well, I once saw him take 3,000 volts directly through his head without batting an eye.
Didn't he pass out?
Well, he was already passed out when it happened.
Time for me to save the world, I guess.
Alright, so here we go. So now we've got, again, a little bit more information here. We've got these things called chronogons, which represent like a little porta potty thing, and we can actually flush items from one person to the other. Now to get us started, we're here with Hoagie in colonial times. You can see the ye olde here, and the old outhouses. And the idea here is we've got to A, primarily get everyone back to the present, and then B, stop Purple Tentacle from taking over the world. But to begin with, we're going to start with Hoagie here, and we're going to try and get him back to the present. Now notice there's this Bernard icon here. If I click on that...
So as soon as Hoagie gets that battery working, we're set.
I'm afraid not. We still need a diamond for the main unit. And your friend in the future needs power too, if she's still alive.
Alive?
Get me out of here. I like trees and everything, but this one has got to go.
Now at the moment we can only select between Hoagie and Bernard because Laverne's kind of hanging by her undies in that tree, so she can't actually be controlled until she gets down, which happens a little bit later in the game. So like other adventure games, you can point and click and walk people around, so let's just head down this way, see what we can find.
Those founding fathers are driving me nuts. Flag design changes every 5 minutes. Well, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm making them a flag, ready or not.
So there we saw Betsy Ross basically sewing away making the flag for America. So this has got some elements of history in here which are kind of correct but kind of not in places. We meet a few other characters like Thomas Edison and George Washington a bit later. So it's got some humour in the fact that it's sort of, you know, put all this together in kind of a weird way. So as we walk down here, we can have a look at this carriage.
It's totally covered with crud.
So it's totally covered in crud, so it's dirty. And then likewise, there's a mailbox here.
It's closed.
So it's closed, so let's try and open it. And looks like there's a letter, so let's pick that up. Alright, so let's have a look at this letter.
You're brilliant. What a novel design. Come to Baltimore at once.
Okay, so you're brilliant, what a novel design, come to Baltimore at once. So at the moment, obviously we don't have a use for that, but we need to just keep that in the back of our mind. So we can also close the mailbox. And then the perspective in this game is a bit weird because you can see he's huge and the house is small, but no doubt we can actually go in here if we open the door. And what do we got here?
Cool, the room clerk's a mummy.
Okay, so we have a mummy. Now, if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice that this bears a striking resemblance, where we've got this main hall door here, as well as this grandfather clock, to the present-day Maniac Mansion, or the mansion as we call it just in Day of the Tentacle. So you can sort of see we're all in the same spot, but just in a different time. And with Laverne, that'll become clearer when we can control her. So in theory, we should be able to open up this clock just like before. And sure enough, we can head down. So down here, we've got this dude sort of working away. And if we hover over him, we can see his name is Red Edison. So that's the guy we're looking for. So let's have a chat to him.
Hey.
What is it?
Now you'll notice, unlike a Sierra game, when you go talk, you actually get some options here. So we can say, you look kind of familiar, what are you doing? Or I think I'll be moseying along right now. So we'll start with, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm inventing, you simpleton. What's it look like I'm doing?
Okay, well, what are you inventing?
What are you inventing?
It's a complex metal device designed to minimize paper entropy.
Okay.
What are you inventing?
It's a complex metal device designed to minimize paper entropy.
So it's pretty funny, you can just keep clicking it over and over again. Let's try this one.
I know an inventor who looks a bit like you.
Well, it's not one of my sons, that's for sure. It appears that I, Red Edison, foremost genius of my day, am to be the last in a long line of gifted inventors. My nearly indistinguishable sons have decided that they want to be artists. I think it was Jed's idea. Or is it Ned? Ah, well, the left-handed one at any rate. Must be some sort of bad blood of their mother's side.
Alright, so none of that really helps us, but...
Well, see you later.
You might if you cut that hair a bit shorter.
But it's kind of interesting nonetheless, and we do meet his sons soon, and one is definitely left-handed. Alright, so the whole idea of this is we need to give the patent application to Red.
Super battery, eh? Brilliant design. Sometimes I amaze myself. Now all I need is oil, vinegar, and some gold.
Okay, so all he needs is oil, vinegar, and gold. Again, unlike a Sierra game, this gives you on a plate, like exactly what you got to do. Now, if we just have a kind of hover around here, we notice there's a lab coat.
It looks more like a raincoat than a lab coat.
Okay, looks more like a raincoat, but nonetheless, let's see if we can just...
Hey, only employees are allowed to use that lab coat.
Okay, so we can't take that. So let's have a look at the bulletin board while we're down here.
It's covered with plans and junk.
Plans and junk. I don't think we can pick up anything.
No way could I pick that up.
Nope. I always found it funny, it says DOS up here, and he talks about he's making a complex machine to eliminate paper. So I think he's trying to make a computer. Also, funnily enough, down here, if we hover over, we can see there's a left-handed hammer. Let's see if we can pick that up.
Say, that's a left-handed hammer, you know. I invented it myself. It was for my ungrateful slob of a left-handed son. Oh, well.
Okay, so as we all know, there's nothing really, unique about a left or right-handed hammer. It's sort of a bit of a running joke. But nonetheless, we have a left-handed hammer now, so that's kind of cool. So let's head back upstairs and see what else we can find. Now we need oil, vinegar, and gold. So let's head into the main hall while we're downstairs. See if we can find any of this. So, what have we got here?
The Constitutional Convention invites your comments, critiques, amendments to the Constitution.
Okay, so here we have the committee basically about to sign and write the Constitution of what will become the United States of America. So let's just have a look at these guys. So we've got John Hancock.
Must have poor circulation.
So he looks a bit cold. Let's have a chat to him.
Yo.
Hello?
What's up, you cold?
Cold? I'm freezing.
Why don't you build a fire?
Well, I keep asking Jefferson to build a fire, but he won't. Says he needs the log for posterity and won't part with it.
Classic.
He's going to give the log to starving children?
I don't get any respect around here. Why, I bet if George I spent the winter in Valley Forge, Washington was cold, we'd get some heat in here.
Okay, so what else we got here? What are you guys doing in here?
What are you guys doing in here?
We're writing the...
We're drafting a constitution for the United States.
Don't say draft, you'll only make me colder.
Wimp.
Okay, so let's try the hot coffee.
Why don't you have some hot coffee?
Oh, I can't stand coffee. It makes me irritable and want to bang my head against the walls.
Okay.
Have you tried decaffeinated coffee?
I'm talking about decaf.
Okay, that's not good.
Shouldn't you guys be working instead of just sitting there?
Writer's block. We can't think of any amendments or anything, so we put a suggestion box over there. I don't suppose you have any brilliant ideas?
What do we got? Let's see, good ideas. No free sandwiches for roadies, no music in elevators. You guarantee the right to free speech. Well, that sounds like a good one.
You could guarantee the right to free speech.
Free speech? No, that'll never work.
Oh, that's funny.
How come you sign your name so big?
Astigmatism.
You mean you have like a childhood complex? That's where your joint hurts, right? Let's just do the good
That's
one.
where your joints hurt, right?
All right. The truth is that a friend once told me that women go crazy over guys with a big signature.
Awesome blanket there, dude.
Thank you. It was given to me by my dear old colorblind Aunt Hattie.
Well, I gotta go, dude.
Okay, so that's all we're going to get out of John Hancock. Let's have a chat to Jefferson.
Hey, tall, dark, and spiffy. My name's Hoagie.
Well, how quaint. I am, of course, Thomas Jefferson, noted scholar, musician, horseman, student of the sciences, member of the bar.
Oh, sure, I've heard of you, dude.
What's in the can, Tommy?
What's in the can, Tommy?
Thomas. My name is Thomas, and this, my chubby friend, is a time capsule, filled with remembrances of our time to be revealed 400 years hence.
Okay, so there's a time capsule here to be opened in 400 years. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the game, Hoagie was sent 200 years in the past, and Laverne was sent 200 years into the future. So in 400 years, we'll be in Laverne's time. So let's ask about that time capsule again.
So, how's the time capsule going?
I'm sorry to say that except for my log, we haven't got a thing.
Okay, so we've got to keep that in mind too, because maybe we can use this time capsule to not necessarily send something into the future, but age something. What else have we got here?
Dude, is that like the Constitution?
Right now, it's just a constitution, I'm afraid. We hit a slight creative block right after the preamble. That's why we put up a suggestion box over there.
Okay.
Dude, I loved your work on the Declaration of Independence.
Ah, thank you. What was your favorite part?
I
like the we the people part.
That's not in the Declaration of... Say, that's not bad. Maybe we can use it.
Could you start a fire, please?
I'd love to oblige you, young man, but I can't. This is the only log, and I'm saving it for posterity.
Has anyone ever told you you're a very snappy dresser?
Why, yes. I studied at Virginia Cotton Technical, where I majored in color theory. I was captain of the varsity cravat team.
Those are impressive credentials, Tom.
Thomas.
How can you let Hancock suffer like that?
A real man is warmed by the fires of his spirit. You should listen to Washington relate his experiences at Valley Forge and take heed.
Well, later, dude.
What? What's going to happen later?
Classic. If we go over a little bit further, you can see there's the Constitution. We've also got a gold-plated quill pen. Remember, oil, gold, and something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. I probably should, but that's all right. All right, oh, vinegar. Oil, gold, and vinegar. Okay, let's see what George Washington's got to say.
Excuse me. Yes? Whoa, you're like George Washington.
Very much like him, according to my wife, Mrs. Washington.
Whoa.
Indeed.
Weren't you president or something?
Yes, I expect to be chosen president unanimously. I'm very well connected. Do you think I should be the ecology president or the education president?
Depends on how many cherry trees you've chopped down.
Well, I am quite the adept tree cutter. Men still tell tales of my youthful prowess.
Now this is an interesting one. I clicked on that somewhat by accident, but we do need this later on. So you've got a few options after you say that. You know, you've got, would you like me to give me a demonstration? I bet you've lost it. Or I think I'll go look at some trees right now. So I'm just going with the last one.
I think I'll go look at some trees right now.
Because that comes up a bit later in the game. Now we can't take the pen because they'll just, you know, say, oh, that's our pen. What are you doing, son? So we've just got to keep in mind it's there. Now here, ooh, look at that.
Salad oil.
There's the oil. And there's also...
Sometimes I like to eat it raw.
Some spaghetti. And let's see what's through this door. And in here, again, just moving the cursor around, we have a bucket.
It's empty.
So we can take the bucket and a brush.
I hope this wasn't used in the outhouses.
Ugh, hopefully not. All right, so we've got a brush as well. I don't think we can open the drawers.
It's already open.
No. This game takes getting used to because of the perspective. You can sort of see things are very outlandishly drawn and kind of out of perspective. So, you know, you might think you can open those drawers, but in this case, you can only open the cabinet. All right, let's keep going. So let's go back through this door. So remember in here, we've got the suggestion box. There's a gold pen we can get. And also George Washington said something about cutting down a tree. Now next, let's head upstairs. And again, if you look at this, this looks very similar, because it is the same building, as the other two timelines. So let's check out this room. So we've got a George sleeps here, so this must be George Washington's room. And then...
I guess this is George Washington's bed.
Alright, and then let's also look at this rope.
I bet it calls the butler just like on TV.
Yeah, Hoagie, he's an interesting character. Let's use the rope.
Here I am, don't get your curls in an uproar. Excuse me, Mr. Washington.
Okay, so that brings the maid in. And if we leave, there's a maid's cart here. Now notice there's some soap, is it?
Oh, ha! Get away from that. It's a good thing I finished in there quickly. Now scram. They just don't make founding fathers like they used to.
Alright. So let's head back upstairs. Let's try that again. Funnily enough, you can see this weird character here. That's from Sam and Max Hit the Road. Alright. So now, if we use George's bed... See, we've kind of messed up the sheets here. So now if we use the cord...
Here I am, don't get your curls in an uproar. Excuse me, Mr. Washington. Boy, what a mess.
So this is going to take her longer to clean up. So now we should be able to Nab the soap.
No way could I pick that up.
Try again. There we go. Okay, let's try this door.
I told you guys I'll get to the flag next. I'm working as fast as I can.
Hey, chill. Take your time.
Don't tell me you've got another design change for the flag.
We get one option here.
I've got another design change for the flag.
I knew it. What's the current brainstorm from our fickle founding fathers?
Oh, these are interesting.
Could it have a chrome-plated bald eagle robot on it?
Oh, what the heck. At this point, I'd do anything just to have it over with. Put the pattern on the table and I'll look at it when I'm done with this job.
Okay, so no matter what option we click there, it would always say the same thing. Just put the pattern on the table over there and I'll get onto it later. So we just need to keep that in mind as well. Finally, let's try this door. So we have a wine bottle.
Chateau de Cheapo, 1775.
Okay. And what have we got here?
I don't quite see how it can fly.
So we've got some kite plans. Can we take them?
I don't understand that technical stuff. I don't understand that technical stuff.
So we can't take the kite plans. We've got a mirror.
Hey, what's that on the plans? It looks like a secret backwards message. Oh, it's just a coffee stain.
Classic. So there's not a lot to do in this room. I think let's try opening this drawer.
Grody, man. I don't go through people's underwear.
Okay, so we can't use that. The box is not usable. Let's just try the bed.
Nah, there's printer's ink on the sheets.
Okay, that's about it for this room. Right, around the corner. And we've got a horse here.
A horse is a horse, of course.
Can we talk to him?
Hi, horsey.
Hi yourself.
Wow, you can talk.
Wow, so can you. What a coincidence.
Nice teeth.
Nice teeth.
Thanks. I paid quite a bit for them.
So notice how the teeth keep popping up, like, did I mention how great your teeth look? That's a bit of a clue in a LucasArts game that is an important
avenue. Did I mention how great your teeth look?
Thanks again.
Okay.
What's a nice horse like you doing in a place like this?
Hey, I live here. What are you doing here?
Okay.
I gotta go.
See you later.
Alright. Let's go through this door.
Question is, which one's stuffed and which one's the real McCoy?
I assure you that we are both real, but we are neither one of us McCoys. We are Edisons, Ned and Jed.
Who's who?
Does it really matter? Even our dear father can't tell us apart. He only knows that one of us is left-handed while the other is right, but that neither of us are following in his tiny scientific footsteps. Hold still, Jed. So, I'm almost too frightened to ask, are you the marble delivery man? Or the model?
I'm the model. Should I take my clothes off now? I'm the delivery man. Okay, if I unload in here. I'm no marble delivery man, but rock is my life. Oh, that's classic.
I'm no marble delivery man, but rock is my life.
I'm sure that's terribly amusing, where you're from. Where exactly did you come from?
The Valley of the Future. I can't really remember. Let's go the future.
The future. Kind of spooky sounding, ain't it? Ooh, the future. I'm from the future. Look out.
Gosh, it would be so nice if you weren't here anymore.
Let's try the model.
I'm the model. Should I take my clothes off now?
No. No, you most definitely should not. We couldn't get your body shape right anyway, unless we cemented 2 slabs of marble together. But then your statue would have a big seam in it.
That's okay. It would have one anyway.
Look, don't call us. We'll call you.
Dang.
Ooh, burn.
I'm the delivery man. Okay if I unload in here?
Actually, we are well supplied with medium, so thank you, no.
This ain't medium, it's the extra large stuff.
Please go away. We artists are very sensitive to your kind of people.
Alright.
Sorry, hope I haven't jostled you.
Too late.
There are a lot of funny one-liners and funny conversations you have in this game, but I've got to limit myself a little bit here because in the interest of, time in this playthrough, I've got to stick to at least the kind of relevant ones. But if you're enjoying that part of it, I encourage you, grab a copy of this game, have a try yourself. Now, where we're at. We know we've got Ned and Jed here, so Jed's here on the right, Ned's here on the left. We know one is right-handed and one is left-handed. You can tell from the way he's hitting the hammer here into the marble statue, he's right-handed. Now, what do you think will happen if we switch the hammer?
Oh no! I've lost it! Oh, where hath gone the muse that once guided my hand with such care? Must inspiration be so transitory? Must art be so cruel? I'm a failure. Don't say that, Ned. Father was right. We Edisons are made to be scientists, not artists. Dear brother, we must be strong in these times of creative adversity. Why don't you let me take over for a while? I'll clean this rubble up and start over. You relax. Have a cappuccino. I'm glad we switched places. I think you're coming out quite well.
Now notice what just happened in the future. There was a statue, it was actually the present I should say. There was a statue of basically Jed Edison, and he was holding the sword in the opposite hand than Ned Edison. So what we've done here has actually influenced what's happened in the future, and that comes into play a lot in this game. So now that our job is done here, let's wander out.
How about an amendment that the president has to be a human being?
Please, this is serious business.
You're right.
It's kind of funny in this day and age with artificial intelligence, so there you go. Bit of foreshadowing. Alright, so if we head right upstairs here, we can see we've got the final room, which is this attic. We've got a cat here, and a squeaky mouse toy. Let's try and pick up the cat.
Yipe.
Okay, he doesn't like that. And we've got a couple of beds here. Let's try and use one. Okay, so that makes a squeaky noise. But as soon as I move, the cat moves away too. So let's try and use Jed's bed. So that one just makes a thud. So let's see if we can pick up this one.
Where am I gonna put it?
Try this one.
Where am I gonna put it?
Well, let's try and use the squeaky mattress with Jed's bed.
Sounds like the cat's caught a moose up there.
Okay, so now I've got the squeaky mattress on the far side of the room. That should allow us to get this mouse toy. Easy. Now, other things in here, we've got some red paint. And I think that's about it. Oh, we can go out the window. I always found that sound effect seems funny. So there's a pulley up here and a chimney. And that chimney leads down to the room where, I think it's the main hall, where all of the guys are standing around waiting to form the Declaration of Independence. Alright, so for now we're done up here. Oh, how do we get out of here? No, not that way. Stairwell, there we go. Cool. So, we have some red paint. Now, if we go back into the main hall here really quickly, remember I mentioned earlier that there was an emphasis on chopping down trees with George Washington. Let's have a chat to him again.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I've been thinking about what you said about cherry trees.
Pondering the great truths, eh? Well?
Let's try this one.
I bet you've lost it. You couldn't cut down a tree to save your grandmother.
Lost it, have I? Why, I'd show you a thing or two if there were a cherry tree nearby. But as you can see, there isn't. I only cut down cherry trees. Family tradition, you understand. Cherries only. There's nothing out there but cedar and kumquats.
Okay, so there's nothing out there but cedar and kumquats. Now you might be thinking, why do we want to cut down a cherry tree? Is it perhaps so we can light a fire? Or maybe there's another reason. So let's just head back out and up here. And you can see here's the Chronogon. It's kind of between those two outhouses. Now, the Chronogons land basically in the same spot in the past and the future. So Laverne, her Chronogon landed in a tree, and she's hanging by her undies in a tree. So notice that there is a kumquat tree here. Let's have a look at it.
Kumquats.
Okay, it doesn't tell us a lot. But if we remove the tree in this timeline, then the tree won't exist in the future. But obviously it's a kumquat tree, not a cherry tree. But we have red paint. There we go. So now if we go back to George Washington. And down here. All right. Let's try this again.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I've been thinking about what you said about cherry trees.
Pondering the great truths, eh? Well?
I bet you've lost it. You couldn't cut down a tree to save your grandmother.
Lost it, have I? Why, I'd show you a thing or two if there were a cherry tree nearby. But as you can see, there... Oh, well, what do you know? There is a cherry tree out there. Well, let's go chop the sucker down.
One swing.
I said come down from there at once!
Try to understand. I'm stuck in this.
Voila!
You're quite a man.
Yes, I know.
Okay, so now by eliminating the tree, Laverne's no longer stuck in the tree, therefore we have her now available over here to switch to. Now as for when you switch between them, it does matter and it doesn't matter. There's certain things you've got to do in each timeline, and there's certain objects you've got to move from one timeline to the other, or one time period I should say. So think we're basically almost all we can do here. Now we've got the wine bottle. There is one thing we can quickly do. Now remember there's a time capsule over here inside the main hall. For those of you who remember your science, do you remember what happens to wine when you age it for a long time? Well, it turns into acetic acid, which is basically vinegar, but it takes, years and years and years and years. But luckily, we can put it in the time capsule and age it almost instantaneously.
Thank you. This is exactly the sort of thing I need for the time capsule. I'll bury it tonight, and it won't be seen for hundreds of years. Future generations are in your debt.
Whoa.
Great. So now the time capsule's got the wine in it, and we can retrieve it in the Laverne timeline, except we can't quite do it yet because you would have noticed that when she fell out the tree, there was a tentacle with a net. So in her time period, in 200 years time, Purple Tentacle has well and truly taken over the world and rounded up humans who have basically become pets. So we need to get our ducks in a row before we can actually do anything there. Alright, just looking at the time, it's looking like we've been playing for about 50 minutes, so I think this is going to end it for part 1. Part 1's a little bit slower paced because we're sort of getting our items together and, learning the new interface of the LucasArts game. But parts 2 and 3 will go a lot faster once we've got all of the objects and we can use them together. I want to thank you for basically tuning in and watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed the content, consider giving it a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you guys a thing and it really does help out the channel. And also have a look at my other adventure game playthroughs. If you're really enjoying the LucasArts stuff like Day of the Tentacle, also put a comment down there and give me some suggestions. What other LucasArts games would you like to see? Maybe it might be something like Indiana Jones or the original Maniac Mansion. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching and I'll catch you on the next one. Later.